The voicemail plays on speaker. My mother's voice, tight, clipped, dripping with that particular brand of venom she reserves for disappointments, cuts through my car like a cold blade. "Well, I hope you're happy, Claire. Your father had a stroke last night. We tried to reach you, obviously, but I suppose we're not important enough anymore. Typical. Always so selfish. Don't bother coming to the hospital. We wouldn't want to inconvenience you." Click. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a Silicon Valley office building, 23 stories of steel and glass. Through the tinted windows, I can see my reflection. 34 years old, grey blazer, gold watch I bought myself last month. The kind of watch my family would have called showing off if they knew about it. They don't know about it. They don't know about any of it. I haven't spoken to them in 3 years, 2 months and 16 days. And right now, listening to my mother weaponize my father's health crisis into just another guilt bomb, I remember exactly why. My finger hovers over the callback button. Every cell in my body screams the same question I've been asking since I was 8 years old, sitting at the dinner table while they laughed about my ridiculous dream of starting my own business. Why do I still care what they think? I don't hit callback. Instead, I delete the voicemail, grab my portfolio, and walk into that building. Because in exactly 18 minutes, I have a meeting with investors who are about to hand me a check that will change everything. The same family who laughed when I went no contact, who told everyone at Christmas I was unstable, who said I'd come crawling back broke and desperate. They have no idea what's coming. And when they find out, that's when the real story begins. But before we get there, if you've ever been told you'd amount to nothing by the people who are supposed to lift you up, if you've ever dreamed of proving wrong every single person who doubted you, you need to hit that like button right now. Subscribe, because this story gets delicious. And buckle up, because revenge, as it turns out, tastes a whole lot sweeter when it's served with a 7-figure bank account. Let me take you back. Because to understand why going no contact with my family was the best decision I ever made, you need to understand what growing up as Claire Meadows actually felt like. Picture this, a 4-bedroom colonial in suburban Connecticut, white picket fence, 2-car garage, golden retriever named Biscuit. From the outside, perfect. From the inside, a masterclass in emotional manipulation wrapped in passive-aggressive dinner conversations. I'm the youngest of 3. My older brother, Derek, 6'2", varsity football captain, got a full ride to Duke, now works in finance and makes my parents beam with pride every time he enters a room. My sister, Monica, effortlessly beautiful, married a surgeon, has 2 kids who look like they belong in a Gap commercial, volunteers at the country club. And then there's me, Claire, the weird one, the one who asked too many questions, who didn't want to go to their alma mater, who thought maybe there was a world beyond replicating the exact life my parents had lived. I was 11 the first time my mother said it. You know, Claire, not everyone is cut out for success. Some people are just support players. She said it while folding laundry. Casual, like she was commenting on the weather. I remember standing in the doorway of the laundry room, clutching my acceptance letter to a summer coding camp I'd worked so hard to get into, and feeling something inside me shrink. I didn't go to that camp. My parents said it was a waste of money and that I should focus on being more well-rounded, which, in their language, meant stop being so awkward and difficult. That moment was the first brick in a very long wall. By high school, the pattern was set. Derek got a car for his 16th birthday, a used Jeep Cherokee he immediately put a dent in and laughed about. Monica got a sweet 16 party with a DJ and a chocolate fountain. I got a card with $50 in it and a lecture about managing expectations. When I told them I wanted to study computer science in college, my father actually laughed. Not a chuckle, a full belly laugh. Computer science? Claire, sweetheart, you can barely figure out the TV remote. Maybe aim for something more realistic. Monica, filing her nails at the kitchen table, didn't even look up. She's probably going through a phase, Dad. Next week she'll want to be a veterinarian or something. They all laughed. I stood there, holding my breath, waiting for someone to tell them to stop. No one did, so I made myself a promise that night, lying in my childhood bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd stuck to the ceiling when I was 9. I'm going to prove them wrong, every single one of them. I got into a state school, not Harvard like Derek, not Yale like Monica, just a state school with a solid tech program and a scholarship that covered most of my tuition because my grades were good and my parents' income was high enough that I didn't qualify for need-based aid, but low enough that they couldn't afford to help me. Translation, wouldn't. Derek's college fund paid for his fraternity dues and ski trips. Monica's paid for her sorority formals and a semester abroad in Italy. Mine never existed. I worked 3 part-time jobs, campus library, weekend catering gigs, freelance coding projects I found on sketchy forums at 2 a.m. I graduated with a 3.9 GPA, 0 debt, and hands that permanently smelled like industrial dishwasher soap. My parents didn't come to my graduation. Derek had a golf tournament. Monica's son had a recital. Dad said, "You understand, right? It's just a state school." I understood. I understood perfectly. After college, I moved to Boston, got a junior developer job at a mid-sized tech firm, shared a cramped apartment with 2 roommates who never cleaned the bathroom, ate $1 menu dinners and saved every spare cent. I was building something, slowly, quietly. I started a side project, an app idea I'd been nursing since sophomore year. Something in the personal finance space. Nothing world-changing, but it solved a real problem, and I was good at it. I worked on it every night after my 9 to 5, weekends, holidays. I didn't tell my family. Why would I? They'd already made it clear what they thought of my little tech fantasies. But I did make one mistake. I went home for Thanksgiving the year I turned 29. I should have known better. The minute I walked through the door, I felt it. That old familiar weight pressing down on my shoulders, making me small again. Monica's kids were running around, hopped up on pumpkin pie. Derek was holding court in the living room, talking loudly about some acquisition his firm had just closed. My mother was in the kitchen, orchestrating the meal like a conductor with a whisk. And my father sat in his recliner, reading the Wall Street Journal, barely acknowledging my presence. "Claire, oh good, you're here," my mother said without looking up. "Can you mash the potatoes? Monica's hands are full with the baby." Not, "How are you?" Not, "We missed you." Just mash the potatoes. I mashed the potatoes. Dinner was the same performance it had always been. Derek dominated the conversation. Monica chimed in with anecdotes about her perfect life. My parents beamed at both of them, asking follow-up questions, laughing at jokes that weren't funny. I sat at the corner of the table, the same seat I'd sat in my entire childhood, and I was invisible until dessert. That's when my mother turned to me, almost as an afterthought, and said, "So, Claire, still doing that computer thing?" The way she said computer thing, like I was finger painting in a nursing home. "Yeah," I said. "Actually, I've been working on something, an app. It's doing really well in beta testing, and I'm talking to some investors about—" Derek cut me off. "Investors?" he snorted. "Claire, do you have any idea how many apps fail in the first year? Like 90%? Monica nodded. "He's right. I mean, it's sweet that you're trying, but maybe you should focus on finding a stable job. You're not getting any younger." My mother chimed in. "She's right, honey. You're almost 30. At some point you need to think about your future. Maybe settle down, meet someone." My father finally looked up from his pie. "Your mother and I have been talking, Claire. We're concerned. You've always been a bit aimless. We just don't want you to waste your best years chasing pipe dreams." Pipe dreams. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, crack, like a frozen lake under too much weight. "It's not a pipe dream," I said. My voice was steady, too steady. "I have users, I have traction. I've been working on this for 3 years and, oh, Claire. My mother's voice was soft, pitying, the worst kind. We're not trying to hurt your feelings. We just love you, and we don't want to see you fail. Fail. That word hung in the air, heavy and final. Derek smirked into his wineglass. Monica patted my hand like I was a child who'd just scraped her knee, and my father went back to his pie. That's when I realised they didn't believe in me. They never had, and they never would. I left that night, told them I had an early flight. I didn't. I drove back to Boston in silence, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white, and I made a decision. I was done. Done trying to earn their approval, done shrinking myself to fit their narrative, done showing up to be their punching bag. I blocked their numbers, all of them. I deleted Facebook, Instagram, every platform where they could reach me, and I disappeared. My mother called from a different number 2 weeks later. I let it go to voicemail. Claire, this is ridiculous. You're acting like a child. Call me back so we can talk about this like adults. I didn't call back. Derek sent an email. Mum's upset. Whatever your issue is, you need to get over it. Family is family. I deleted it. Monica tried a softer approach. Claire, I don't know what happened, but we miss you. The kids ask about you. Please come home for Christmas. I didn't go home for Christmas, or Easter, or the next Thanksgiving. For 3 years, I was a ghost, and you know what? For the first time in my entire life, I could breathe. Turns out cutting out toxic people, even when they share your DNA, is incredibly good for productivity. Without the constant background noise of my family's doubt, I threw everything I had into my app. I called it Clear Path, a financial planning tool that used AI to help people set and actually achieve goals, whether that was saving for a house, paying off debt, or just figuring out where the hell their money was going every month. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. 6 months after I went no contact, I launched the full version. I had 2,300 users in the first week. By month 2, 15,000. By month 6, 150,000. The app was getting press, small outlets at first, tech blogs, personal finance subreddits, then bigger ones. TechCrunch wrote a feature. Forbes included me in a 30 under 30 list. I was 31, but they rounded down. And the investors I'd been pitching for years. Suddenly, they were calling me. The meeting in that Silicon Valley office building, the one I was heading into when my mother's voicemail came through, that was the big one. Series A funding. I walked into a glass conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay, and I pitched my heart out to 4 people in expensive suits who nodded and took notes and asked all the right questions. When I finished, the lead investor, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a sharper blazer, leaned back in her chair and smiled. Claire, I'm going to be honest. We've seen a lot of financial apps. Most of them are garbage. Yours isn't. It's smart, it's scalable, and you clearly know what you're doing. She slid a folder across the table. We'd like to offer you 2.3 million. 2.3 million. I kept my face neutral. Inside, I was screaming. We shook hands. I signed the paperwork. And when I walked out of that building an hour later, the fog rolling in over the bay, I sat in my car and I cried. Not sad tears, victory tears, the kind that taste like vindication. Over the next year, ClearPath exploded. We hit 1 million users, then 5 million. I hired a team, rented office space, got interviewed on podcasts and panels. Inc. magazine did a profile on me. The headline, The Woman Who Built a Financial Empire. While everyone told her she couldn't, I framed that headline, hung it in my office. Because every single day when I looked at it, I remembered the girl sitting at that Thanksgiving table, being told she was aiming too high. And I smiled. Now, back to that voicemail, my father's stroke, my mother's venom. For 72 hours after I got that message, I didn't respond. I thought about it. God, I thought about it. But I'd learned something in 3 years of silence. You don't owe people access to your piece just because they're upset you took it back. And then Monica showed up. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was in my office. My office in a building I leased with a view that cost more per month than my childhood home's mortgage when my assistant buzzed. Claire, there's a woman here who says she's your sister? My stomach dropped. Tell her I'm busy. She says it's an emergency. I closed my laptop. Send her in. Monica walked in looking exactly like I remembered, polished, put together, that same perfect mum at the country club energy. But her eyes were red. She'd been crying. Claire. Her voice cracked on my name. I stayed seated, didn't stand, didn't hug her. How did you find me? You're not exactly hard to Google anymore. Fair. She sat down across from me, uninvited, and folded her hands in her lap. Dad had a stroke. It was bad, Claire. He's stable now, but we didn't know if he was going to make it. I waited. Mum tried to call you. Derek tried. I tried. I know. And you just ignored us. Yes. The word landed like a slap. Monica blinked. He's our father, Claire. He's your father too, I said. And when I tried to tell him about my dreams, he called them pipe dreams. When I needed support, he gave me a lecture. When I invited all of you to celebrate with me, you didn't show up. So forgive me if I don't drop everything now that it's convenient for you. Her face flushed. That's not fair, isn't it? We're family. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. You're being dramatic. And there it was, that word, dramatic, the same word they'd used my entire life to dismiss anything I felt. I stood up. Monica, I'm sorry Dad is sick. I genuinely am. But I'm not coming to the hospital. I'm not playing happy family. I'm not pretending the last 3 years didn't happen. So that's it. You're just done with us. I was done 3 years ago. You're just now noticing. She stared at me, really looked at me. And I think, for the first time in our entire lives, she saw me as something other than her awkward little sister. You've changed, she whispered. No, I said. I just stopped letting you make me smaller. She left. I didn't cry. I didn't feel guilty. I felt light. But Monica didn't give up. Over the next few weeks, the messages started. Not apologies, requests. Derek needed a small loan to cover some bad investments. Monica wanted to know if I could help out with her kids' private school tuition. My mother, the woman who once told me I was a support player, wanted to know if I'd be interested in investing in my father's failing business. Every message was dressed up with words like family and support, but I could read between the lines. Now that you have money, we want a piece. I could have ignored them, could have kept the door closed, but where's the satisfaction in that? So I did something better. I invited them to dinner. I rented out a private room at one of the most expensive restaurants in Boston, sent formal invitations, paid for their travel, put them up in a nice hotel. And when they arrived, Derek in a suit that didn't quite fit, Monica in a dress she'd clearly bought just for this, my parents looking older and smaller than I remembered. I was already seated at the head of the table, wearing the grey blazer, the gold watch, a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Claire, my mother said, a little too brightly, this is so lovely. We've missed you so much. Derek clapped me on the shoulder like we were old friends. Monica kissed my cheek. My father nodded, said nothing. We sat, ordered, made small talk about nothing. And then, over dessert, my mother finally got to the point. So, Claire, we've been talking and, well, we know you've done very well for yourself. Here it comes. And we're so proud of you. Proud. That word. I let it sit there. We were hoping, Derek said, leaning in, that maybe you could help the family out a bit. You know, now that you're so successful. I set down my fork. Help how? Well, Monica jumped in, the kids' school is so expensive, and with everything going on, it would just be such a relief if… No. The word dropped like a stone. Silence. I'm sorry. My mother's voice was ice. I said no. Claire, don't be selfish. Selfish? I laughed, actually laughed. You want to talk about selfish? Let's talk about the time I begged you to come to my college graduation and you said it wasn't worth the drive, or the time I told you about my app and you called it a pipe dream, or the 3 years I spent working myself to the bone while you made me feel like I'd never be good enough. My father finally spoke. That's not how we remember it. Of course it isn't. I pulled out my phone, set it on the table. I've been recording this dinner, by the way, every word. Their faces went pale. Because I knew. You didn't come here to apologize. You came here because you want something, and I wanted proof. You're insane, Derek hissed. No, I'm done being your backup plan. I stood. Enjoy your dinner. It's paid for. The hotel's paid for. Consider it my parting gift. But after tonight, we're done. For real this time. You'll regret this, my mother said. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. No, I said softly. I really won't. And I walked out. Here's the thing about revenge. It's not about making them hurt. It's about realizing you don't need them to see your worth for it to be real. My family wanted me to fail. And when I didn't, they wanted a piece of what I'd built. But I built it without them. And I'll protect it the same way. If this story hit home, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or told you'd never amount to anything, smash that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the best revenge you've ever gotten on someone who doubted you? And subscribe, because we've got more stories of people who turned pain into power. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best revenge, living well.